Hey everybody, we're going to get started here with the Show Me the Screens panel. This is going to be talking a lot about various forms of YouTube and digital content. So to get started, I'm going to introduce, my name is Corey Vidal, I'm a YouTuber. And to get started, we're going to go left to right, and all of the panelists here have some content that they actually want to show you today, so we get to see a couple videos. And up first, we have Kyle, who works at CBC. Kyle, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm probably the only person on this panel that isn't a creator. I'm actually the talent development lead at the CBC Creator Network. We work with digital content creators across the country, to Canadian content creators across the country, to make content for our various CBC digital properties. So whether it's CBC Arts, CBC Life, sports, music, kids, you name it, we're working with them. When I say digital content creators, we're working with people that are YouTube creators. I was going to say Vine, but not anymore, RIP. Snapchat, Facebook, and anybody else too outside of that. You don't necessarily have to have a presence on digital, but you're native to that platform and understand what type of content has success and engagement. The type of creators that we're looking to work with, we're working with about 30 to 40 of them right now. We have almost over 200 videos in production that the CBC is financing through the different verticals. All these creators here are creators that we're working with. And we're looking for people with strong POVs, high production quality, great storytelling capabilities, and diversity, not only from an ethnic perspective we're striving for, but also from a production and talent perspective. So, can we work with you on multiple projects across multiple verticals? We want to build long relationships with creators and really build up kind of that digital content creation space. So I believe the sizzle reel that Corey's going to throw to now is just some of the content that we've done so far and some of the people that we've worked with. And it will give you a sample of what we're up to.
Listen. English and French, please.
Trust me, we're gonna be okay. Okay.
It's ridiculous. It's insane.
So annoying. The struggle is real.
This is just rum.
Oh, I know.
Oh yeah, I did it. You're beautiful. And it got me on fire.
Now for the fun part.
What's wrong with your pretend?
Get to work.
Oh no, this is good for me.
Yes?
Can you teach me how to speak Chinese?
Newfoundland.
Oh, mature!
I'm rating you on the whole experience.
Oh my god!
So those are all pieces of content that CBC has made, I'd say just in the past year or so, right, with digital creators?
Yeah, actually, is my mic on? Oh, sorry. Probably under that. We've been doing that for about 7 months of actively taking pitches from creators and producing them. So, yeah.
So you are actually helping fund that content and helping that content get made?
Yeah, so the way that works is that, usually somebody reaches out to myself or my colleague, Abby Ho, and they come to us and say, we want to work with you guys, we have these ideas. We take it to the different production executives within the verticals, and then we kind of work on that relationship to see if there's an opportunity to work together and work on that project. And then from there, we start to talk about budgets and all of that stuff and production and timing. And then, it's at the moment, it's fully financed by the CBC, but it's really a blank slate. Like, we're looking for, if there's co-productions or anything like that, and other sources of financing, then we're kind of open to seeing where that leads.
Great. Moving on to Corrado Coia. Corrado, it's a little bit weird that I'm hosting and interviewing you. Corrado and I have been in business together for 7 years, and he's my best friend. You, Corrado, happen to be the Buffer Festival founder and a YouTube creator. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. Well, I've been on YouTube since, I think, 2009. I sometimes forget if it's 9 or
No,
10.
you're 2007.
2007.
Because I'm 6, and you're 1 year after.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
We're 1 year apart. Okay. And I started off on YouTube just making sketch comedy with my friends, I think like which most people did. I was in high school and university taking computer science, but science was kind of boring, and just building and doing cool things with your friends was way more exciting. So like you grabbed my dad's like beta cam and started filming stuff, and then it got better gear, and then just started throwing stuff on YouTube, and then met that guy, met Corey, and then we've been in business together forever, and then we started Buffer Festival about 5-6 years ago.
So can you quickly share with people what Buffer Festival is?
Sure. So Buffer Festival is the only international film festival that focuses specifically on highlighting YouTube content creators. So there's a lot of web festivals or festivals that are digital. Those are great, but Buffer is just YouTube creators. So it's a very niche festival for that. And it's only YouTube itself is pretty dynamic. It's kind of like saying it's a music festival. It's like, well, what kind of music? Is it rap or is it country? So with YouTube, it's more the cinematographers, the storytellers, the short filmmakers that we focus on.
Great. And you have a video
that we shot.
that I'm actually in.
Yeah,
Great.
Stars Corey and I. He didn't know this video was playing.
I didn't know this.
We filmed this video 5 years ago.
We filmed it in like 10 minutes.
We filmed it in 10 minutes. We were really bored, and I wanted to try doing all digital effects. So this video was filmed on a tripod, just a camera on a tripod, and every effect is 100% digital through it. I just wanted to play around.
All right, let's watch it.
Hey Corey, what you doing?
Solving a Rubik's Cube.
Bet you I can shoot it off your head.
I bet you can't.
That's it. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good, Corrado.
Thanks.
That's great. That guy with the hat. You're not wearing a hat.
Old branding, like I said.
Yeah, it's true. It's a very old video. Okay, moving on. Tyler. Tyler and also Jeffrey. Both of these guys work at Thought Café.
Thought Café is a motion graphic animation studio. We focus on factual and educational content. And both of those things can mean that it can be limiting, but we actually do a wide variety of work. So while we focus on animation motion graphics, we do live production with visual effects as well, all the way from really simple infographic stuff to full out 3D environmental, like big time photorealistic stuff. And then factual and educational, so we are partners with Crash Course, which is one of YouTube's top educational shows. We do all the branding and animation for that. But we also do a lot of work on broadcast television, as well as long-form documentary work as well too. So really try and cover everything from little 30-second to a minute segments all the way up to an hour-and-a-half feature-length production.
So can you just tell a bit of the chronology about you guys getting involved in YouTube for other companies, other channels, and that leading into your own channel?
Yeah, as a studio, we do our own production, but the majority of our work, really high majority, is partnering with other people. The main goal of the organization was to help bring to life really important messages and stories that people have that maybe are difficult for them to get to because animation and motion graphics can be really expensive. So what we've done is we created a model where we use our more corporate internal training kind of clients and subsidize profits from those projects to be able to help other people who may not have the funds to get a really important message out there to happen. So when we started, is very earlier on, We were putting stuff up on Vimeo, we were putting stuff up on YouTube, and basically just looking around on YouTube for really interesting creators who were doing stuff. We happened upon this guy named John Green. We didn't really know much about him, but he had this really good rant on healthcare. So we just messaged him, we're like, hey, can we turn that into an animation? We think more people will need to see it. So we did. It really blew up quite well and got us connected to become what is Crash Course now. And now, this year we started a series called Thought Café Plus, which kind of really reinforces that thing of working with other creators. So we do Thought Café plus CBC, Thought Café plus Popular Science, and a bunch of other ones in the mix right now, and really work with other content creators and getting their stories and messages, branding it, turning it into really good, interesting motion graphics for people to watch and be entertained and educated at the same time.
Great. And what clip do you have for us today?
We just have a little sizzle reel of a bunch of work over the past couple of years.
Great. That's great. And moving on to our last group, Unsolicited Project. Adrianna, Sarah, tell us a bit about Unsolicited Project, but tell us why today is such a special day for you girls.
Yeah, so we're the co-creators of Unsolicited Project. It's a female comedy channel. We also focus on LGBT comedy. We do like parody, sketches, satire. We have web series as well. And then if you want to talk about today. What's so special?
Yeah, 2 years ago we launched a Kickstarter to do our first feature film, and we made our goal and shot a movie. Last year we played in the film festival circuit. It got picked up by a distributor in Los Angeles, and it came out on video on demand today. So, thank you.
Thank you for being here with us today. That's really exciting. And we have the trailer from that feature film that you funded, right?
Yes. Yep.
Cassie, did you sleep in my bed again last night?
No, I just came in here this morning to cuddle with you.
You have to promise never to leave me. I just got out of a serious relationship. I need to get rid of things that remind me of Matthew.
That is a lot to ask for in return for pancakes.
They're blueberry pancakes.
I need to go shopping. What are you doing today? No, I will not go shopping with you.
Love it. Yellow is so your color. Buy it. Let's go.
How's Cassie? And how'd she take it when you told her?
Told her what?
Isn't this your friend Mackenzie?
Is she single?
That you decided to join the LPGA.
I have seen you poop, and you couldn't just tell me you were gay. I wasn't ready.
I've never kept anything from you. Did you think I was gonna care?
After the buzz of the big time.
You were dating Andrew. The only reason that I dated him was because his dick was so small that it was pretty much just a vagina.
I'll be on your side.
Who texted you? Elliot.
Hey, you never mentioned her. She plays soccer. Hates sports.
I like girls who play sports.
It's like she never has time for me or us anymore. It's
Only about Elliot. I can't believe he brought her.
Give me this.
Has she even gotten her period yet? She looks 12.
What was that?
Beach knobs.
You are such a lesbian.
You two should be in each other's lives until one of you dies. It's most likely going to be Mackenzie from choking on some sort of food.
When I'm 60 years old and I'm still single, will you still love me?
Probably not.
Mackenzie, are you watching lesbian porn? Because I told you that Bridget Jones's Diaphragm is not the same movie.
That's great. How many times have you seen that trailer?
Hundreds.
Yeah.
All like how many million views.
How many of you, roughly, do you know how many views it does have?
I think it's 1.7 million.
Million?
Yeah, all organic.
So I mean, everyone just kind of perks up because things can look professional, but with the right lighting and the right cameras, we can all shoot something maybe that looks like that. But there's an audience there, and it's so easy to say in a sentence, "Oh, we launched a fundraiser and we hit our goal." Yeah. No, you skipped over like the most important part. So how did you, when you created that campaign, did you think or know that it was going to get funded, and how did you get so many people to go donate?
Well, when we decided to do a Kickstarter, honestly, we didn't think we were going to hit our goal at all. We worked with our producer and tried to figure out what amount we would need to just do production. So then after we could shoot the movie, go out and get post-production funding after. So we kind of thought we could get 30,000, so we made our goal 40, because we were like thinking big. And we got 50% of that in
the first day.
And then we reached our full goal in about a week. And by the end of our campaign, we ended up reaching 305% of our goal. And I think our approach to our Kickstarter, because when you see crowdfunding campaigns for a product, where you actually see a product, it's easy for people to say, oh, I'm going to donate because I'm buying that thing. But when it's a movie, it's unfinished, and they don't really know what it's going to be. And because we had worked on our YouTube channel for a few years before launching our Kickstarter, we decided to really gear our perks towards our YouTube audience. So we didn't want to offer things like a script for the movie or like merchandise for the movie, because again, nobody knew what the movie was except for our little like pitch video and like, here's the cast. So we did things like you get digital photos. We did Google Hangouts where people could like join a hangout for an hour with us.
We did one where you could submit like fan fiction and we would turn it into a video.
Yeah. So we made like YouTube videos based on fanfic.
So it almost seems, I would say, slightly counterintuitive, because like you're asking them to donate not because they believe in the final project, because they didn't know anything about the final project. They believed in you. Yeah. So how did you get them to believe in you? I mean, I know, like the whole YouTube channel, but if you could explain somebody that wants to just emulate that and they go create a campaign today, why might that not work for them?
Yeah, because we had before launching this Kickstarter, we had our YouTube channel for about 2.5 years, and we worked really hard developing that community and putting content out twice a week and doing live streams and engaging with this audience. So by the time that the Kickstarter rolled around, these people they knew us. They almost felt like they were supporting like a friend because they wanted to see us succeed. And also what helped as well is that because our audience is mainly LGBT, the film has a lead gay character in it, and a lot of LGBT people just want to see themselves represented on screen. So they also were kind of drawn to the story as well, which
I mean, there's not a lot of LGBT movies, I would say, in general, but like an LGBT movie for millennials, they were like very excited about it.
All right, so to shift the conversation over to Kyle and CBC, it seems like, looking at what happened with Almost Adults, that it's maybe easier to put the funding behind a creator rather than a piece of content or a piece of intellectual property, that maybe the creator comes first. Would you say that's true? And can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely true. I think, when we look at a creator and when they put a pitch idea, it is, as I was saying off the top, it's that long-term relationship that we're trying to build with them. If we think we can do kind of a one-off video with them, that's not as important to us as, what is the full scope of their ability. And I think a lot of times, too, for, content creators, especially YouTubers, a fault to having a YouTube channel is that they don't necessarily have the ability to work outside of that YouTube channel because they're feeding their machine, their audience knows exactly what they want. So it really starts with a conversation and just getting to know everybody here and getting to know their interests. And anybody that we talk to, that is something that, what do you want to do outside of just being, this YouTube creator or Facebook creator on this channel? What are your interests? What are your skills? So, all of these guys up here are great examples of creators that go way beyond what you see just on screen. Now, having that on screen really helps, the same way that you guys got funding. I always say it's the easiest creator to pitch, because I can go, here's what Unsolicited or here's what Café does, here's what they want to do. There's confidence in their storytelling and the quality. And at the end of the day, these guys are experts. They've had way more trial and error than we've ever had at the CBC, making digital content and digital entertainment. So we really trust the creators we work with. Along, as you were saying in the first panel, Corey, along with the guidance of working with our production executives, it's so far a great relationship of kind of allowing people to express their expertise and use that strength to make a great piece of content.
So in terms of analyzing what people are saying here, and I want to make sure that I'm kind of representing the audience, I might kind of say, hey, like that sounds really great for all of these people with established success. Oh, we just had this YouTube channel for years and then made a movie. Or, oh, we just work with already successful creators. Yeah. And Thought Cafe, you guys toe the line of being both, because you work with other creators, but at the same time, you're also building your own brand. So can you tell us a bit about how you do that and how that audience translates?
Sure. Yeah, last year was really the first year that we focused on our own YouTube channel. For the first 4 or 5 years of our existence, it was about trying to get enough work to pay ourselves and make things work. That's really how we grew, is by not making a lot of money and making a lot of content. Almost everybody in our early years, everybody who came to work with us took a pay cut to work at the studio, because everybody believes in what we're doing, and we think that there's benefit to more than just ourselves in what we create, in spreading information and spreading knowledge. So for us, it was really about always finding other important messages and just content first. Content is the top thing, and then we believe that if we continued to do that and continued to make really informative stuff that looked great, that the money would come and the attention would come, and slowly it has, and we're getting to a spot where we're really getting stable and we can be at industry rates. And we spent a lot of time building up Crash Course. When that started, that was with the YouTube partnership program. They saw John and Hank and what they were doing on Vlogbrothers, and they said, hey, we're starting up this new thing to make content. What do you want to do? They wanted to make education, so they came to us and said, hey, you want to work with us on this? Mm-hmm. So we spent 4 years basically building that audience up. And then last year we were kind of like, oh, we only have 20,000 subscribers. Let's change that. Yeah. For 3 or 4 years it wasn't, but that was because we weren't making regular content. So then at the end of 2015, we put a plan in place, because making animation and motion graphics is also really time consuming. It's not as easy. It takes time to make anything great, but unless it's just, shooting a Rubik's Cube, I guess, which is a great job for a 10-minute turnaround, which I don't believe it took you 10 minutes to do that in post.
It took 10 minutes to film.
Yeah.
It took days in post.
There you go. Yeah. So we had to really create a new system, and that's what we did this year, or the last year, is instead of having to make the content itself, focusing on the creative aspects on the other side, and find people who already had content but didn't have the medium to deliver it in, and provide that trade. And then that way we also trade audiences, which I think is one of the most beneficial ways to grow an audience, is to find people who are like-minded or in the same sphere, and then find ways to work together on that.
And sorry to put you on the spot, but how many subscribers do you guys have now?
We just broke 100,000, and Crash Course just broke 5 million last year as well.
Congratulations. So we're kind of moving, yeah.
I would say, just to make it relatable to the crowd, because I'm sure not everybody here has 1 million subscribers, and if you do, come talk to me. No, I'm just kidding. But at CBC, we work with people, with creators that have 1 million followers, and we work with creators that have 50 followers. The key word is being a creator in general. Not everybody has the time, or sometimes strikes the luck with an audience, to have a massive following. So we really look at your ability to tell stories, and sometimes you're doing productions that don't take 10 minutes or 10 seconds to do, and they take months, and so you're releasing a video a month or a video every 2 months, and it's just hard to build an audience that way. But there's still value to us, or for you to us, and we still want to have conversations with those type of creators and work with them.
So I want to return to that. Okay. I'm just going to interrupt for a second and say, by a show of hands, who here has a YouTube channel? Okay, so everybody. Does anybody have over 1,000 subscribers? Hey, congratulations. So does anybody have over 100 subscribers? A couple, okay. Over 500? All right, so let's keep it under 500 subscribers. How could somebody with less than 500 subscribers work with CBC?
Yeah, it's quite simple. You can talk to me after and get my contact info, and I'm happy to take a look at your channel. And sometimes it's also the body of work that you're doing outside of your channel. So sometimes, as in with Thought Cafe, you look at those guys, and if they didn't have Thought Cafe Plus, they would be just, they would be working with Crash Course, but that's a huge asset to have, access to that type of channel and also that type of insight. And they are essentially in the digital world and understand how to create content that's native towards that. So yeah, it's simply, that's why we're here, and I'm here and Abby's here, is to be open door, and you guys can come and talk to us. And it's really just building that relationship of if there's a fit. It goes both ways. Sometimes it's not a fit on our side, and sometimes as the creator goes down the path, it's not a fit on their side.
So we've kind of been doing this thing backwards. We started with all of this success, and we're learning it's obviously not that easy, and I want to be able to help you guys today. So to go back to Unsolicited, before you had 500 subscribers, do you remember those days? Yeah. And how do you get those first couple hundred subscribers? Where does that come from, and how do you hit that first, maybe, say, 1,000?
Well, the first thing we ever did on our channel, and the reason why it's called Unsolicited Project, is because we did a web series called The Unsolicited Project, and it was about assistants in Hollywood. And it was just 4 episodes that we shot ourselves. We got some friends to do it, and I think our first episode had 800 views, and we were thrilled because we're that means all our friends watched it and some other friends. We thought it was the biggest deal ever. So then after that, it was a couple months later, there was a YouTube video that came out on College Humor called Gay Men Will Marry Your Girlfriends. And we were oh, we should do a parody of that. We'll do the lesbian version, because maybe if we put it on our YouTube channel, people will watch our web series. And so we got actually really lucky because that ended up going viral, the video.
How many views
from that
did
we
it get?
got 15,000 subscribers overnight, basically. So we were oh,
maybe we should keep doing
maybe we'll keep doing this instead, and we'll scrap our web series.
So that wasn't the plan. So Unsolicited Project was meant to be just its own web series.
Yeah.
Then you accidentally made a viral video.
We did, yeah.
And when was that? What year was that?
2012.
So do you recommend that, kind of following those trends and trying to make something that's just going to pop like that?
I feel not trying to go after something for the intention for it to go viral maybe was a good plan, because we didn't make it thinking this is gonna get millions of views and we're gonna get tons of subscribers. We were no, maybe people watch our series. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it's worth it to try and chase doing parodies and to try and chase getting 1 million views.
It's just one of those things that you never know what's going to hit. Because you could follow a trend and be oh, this is going to go viral. And it doesn't. Because who knows what's going to go viral.
And then you need to keep consistent content on your channel too, right? And if you're chasing these trends, but you're not enjoying the videos that you're making, that's also not fulfilling.
Yeah. So then at what point do you switch from thinking, and I grabbed this mic for you, at what point do you switch from thinking, hey, we want to make this web series, I'm very web series driven, we're going to keep pursuing this project, and then you have this one video go viral, do you have that immediate 180-degree turnaround to be hey, let's just make one-offs? Or how do you slowly realize that now the channel itself is what people care about?
It was more of a gradual thing, because when the video went viral, we got a bunch of subscribers, and then we just did a follow-up video.
Because we got a lot of hate.
Because we got a lot of hate from it. So then we did a follow-up, and then that started gaining traction, and then we were like, oh, okay, let's do another one. And then, but we were taking weeks and weeks in between, because we, again, still didn't have the intention of like strictly doing like a YouTube channel.
And it was still kind of a series because the hate from the first one was in the comments section. So the second video we did was gay women respond to your comments, where we're making fun of people's comments. So then it was still a series where it'd be like, gay women help you come out. Gay women help you like deal with family at the holidays. And then every video had 5 actors in it, and it became too much to do one a week, to coordinate with all these people, to shoot. So I think that's when we did our first, we have like a, kind of like a vlog, but where Adrianna and I just make fun and talk about current events. So we were like, let's try one of those. It'll be so much easier to shoot if it's just the 2 of us. And we literally made the video, and in the video we say like, who's gonna watch this? Like, leave a comment if you even wanna see another one. And people liked it, and now we do them every week.
I'm gonna hand the mic over to you.
Because I'm very interested in the interaction with the audience. So as you post videos, your audience comments, your audience participates, or you're watching the views and saying, well, this is more popular than that. How much does that refine the content that you're presenting? You start out with one concept, but you really end up doing something that is closer to what your audience is really looking for. Can you kind of explain that process?
Well, our channel has kind of evolved a little bit based on who's been watching, and we do take a look a lot at our like analytics, because we want to know what does well and why it does well. But also, we still make content that like we want to make. So if we do something, we're like, well, we don't think this is funny, and we don't find this interesting, but even if our audience finds it interesting, we still won't do it.
Yeah. Or like we'll get a video that'll hit. Like it'll be maybe more of a clickbaity sounding video, and it'll get millions of views, and we're like, we could do a follow-up, but we don't want to, because we'd rather do these videos. So it's kind of a bit of both.
Corrado, I know with the Apprentice A YouTube channels, plural, we always struggled with that balance between making these big, expensive pieces of content. YouTube sometimes calls it hero content. It's like, this is our best work, this is what we're most proud of, but that taking forever versus making a vlog very quickly, saying, oh, probably nobody's going to watch this. It gets less views, but it's more feasible. How do you find that balance, and what advice do you have if somebody's like, hey, well, maybe I can just rock out a bunch of vlogs? That sounds easy.
That's a tough one, because you kind of need to do both. It's like, if you only focus on those big, like let's say you guys only did those big projects and it took you a month, and you did one video a month, the audience, you're gonna have a hard time keeping your audience around. So you almost need to have that, I think, what does YouTube call it? Hub content?
Hero Hub Help. Hero
Hub and Help. So you have your big productions, and then you have your smaller, easier to do supplementary productions that you can kind of use to keep your audience engaged, but it's also content you want to make. So an example of that could be, let's say you're working on a short and you know it's going to take you a month. You can just release throughout that month a bunch of behind the scenes episodes of like, this week, here's where we're at. Then 2 weeks later, here's where we're at. What we did is we had a daily vlog where every day we would film our lives, and Saskia over there would edit it every day and put it up the following day. This was just a way to keep constant contact with your audience. Probably a bit too much, I'd say, now that it's been 6 years of doing it every single day. But that is definitely one way to keep everything, keep the machine moving.
Great. And Kyle, I would find with the CBC content that you guys are making, is that going on a CBC YouTube channel?
Yeah, so it usually always ends up on a CBC main site, and then it'll end up on our social channels. It's a bit of a, again, open slate of whether it ends up on the creators channel as well. Sometimes, like I said before, it doesn't really fit their audience at all. It's something outside of what they're doing. so it won't. Okay, can you guys hear me? That sounds better. So a very short answer to that question is yes, it goes on the CBC YouTube channel because, at the CBC we understand that audiences aren't just engaging on websites. They're out there on Facebook, they're out there on these social channels that are a part of their daily lives, and we want to make sure that we're a part of that.
So if that content that somebody's making is going out on CBC, how is CBC kind of finding that brand or finding that way to get that content views if there's different content being uploaded all the time? And I would maybe make that less specific about CBC, but for the people here, how are you, what practices is CBC doing to get content views outside of just the subscribers?
Well, I think this might be the answer to your question, but first of all, it has to, not every creator that we work with or approaches us is going to fit the different brands of the different verticals. So the same way that these guys look at their brands and say, this is a video that we A, want to produce, and B, think our audience will enjoy and share and engage with, is one tactic we look at. Trying to think if there's any others. Oh, and then the fact that, the CBC is kind of shifting right now to what we're calling like a feed. So traditionally, it's very similar to, what Corrado's talking about, what Corey's talking about, of continually feeding the audience content. So before, we might put something up, once every week or once every 2 weeks, and, the audience is going to go elsewhere. So the CBC is, a massive machine in itself that's always producing content. And so we're making sure that within that feed, so for example, comedy, that there's always existing content going in, and then when we work with a creator, that audience is already established, they expect more to come back, and then we're exposing the creator, their content to our audience, and that's how we're getting views.
That's great. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Cool.
Great.
I wanted to start opening up to questions that you guys had for the YouTube creators that we have here. Questions about creating content on YouTube, monetization, production, how to work with any of these guys. Anybody have anything?
I'm pretty loud. One of the big struggles that I have is that I love narrative web series. So, you guys worked in narrative web series. Do you still run it?
Yeah. So we launched the channel with a web series, and since then, we've done another series that has 2 seasons on YouTube. We did a series for Snapchat. Is that it? I think so, yeah. I think we just done 3. But so we kind of sprinkle it in, in between all of our, weekly sketch videos.
So do you find that it's hard to keep a long-running narrative one going? Do you find that you have to kind of split them up to keep the audience, or is there a I know with Crash Course in the sort of educational things, people will come back based on the topics, but I don't see very many long-term running narrative web series, which is so I'm just wondering if there's if you find specific struggles with that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, the one series we have 2 seasons of, we did the seasons a year apart. And once one season ends, there's always questions and comments of are you doing another season? What happens next? And so maybe waiting so long, isn't the best strategy, but, it's so time consuming and is so expensive compared to doing a single video that we kind of need to take that time. We can't constantly be doing web series. But yeah.
I'd say there's a couple examples out there that kind of show that long narrative. These guys have definitely had success with that, but there's one big Canadian success story, which is a series called Carmilla, which was produced by Smoke Bomb. And that was I think a 30 or 40 series or episode series. And if you take a look at that series, it's very locked off camera. As far as what you can do from a production perspective, it's as simple as possible to shoot as many episodes, but you get a lot of rich story in there, character development, and then there's a lot of ancillary content that goes around with that. But if you can release one a week, that gives you 30 weeks of content. In that time, you're thinking about the next season, how are we going to ramp this up? What other stuff are we going to do to support it? They ended up launching like I think a book out of it, all kinds of stuff, other like pop-up events, like all of that kind of stuff to keep the audience engaged during that time that they went to the next season.
And I think there's the thing with web series. If you're gonna make it and you're on a schedule of like one per week, if you miss a week, it like kills the whole momentum. So if I were to make a web series right now, I would want to shoot it in its entirety, edit it almost in its entirety, and then start rolling it out. There's many times we've started series with great intentions, like, oh, it'll take 2 weeks per episode, and then you do the first one in 2 weeks, the second one takes 3 weeks, and then you're like, oh, this becomes challenging.
Yep.
So I would do it all, film as much as possible until you have like a good window. Then you can really hit those. You can hit those marks. You can get that ball rolling, get the promo going, work from there.
And I love you, but I want to challenge this.
Go for it.
And this is like I think this is like one of the biggest questions is like, if you commit to making a bunch of something, what if nobody likes it?
Yeah.
Or what if it gets 0 views and you just made 30 episodes of something that nobody cares about?
Yeah. I'm more of a completionist. So like when I play video games, I want to do the whole thing, even if the game sucks. I'm like, well, I'm halfway through it. I guess I got to finish it anyways. So I would rather have the series come to an end, even if the decline is just plummeting. I'd be like, well, I should finish it anyways, because at least then, even if no one watched it and it sucked, or maybe it's great and no one watched it, I can then use that piece to maybe get funding, or maybe just to have it under my belt. I can be like, hey, look, I did this thing. Look at it. And even if the views declined, I could be like, yes, but I learned a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, we have a question there.
Just in regards, this might be towards CBC, you know how like on Crave TV and Netflix, they kind of don't really have much of a time limit between 22 minutes, some episodes are 35 minutes. Is there do you guys usually, when obviously you have the open dialogue, something that would be like 8 episodes, but each episode is 30 minutes and fine. Do you guys have a limit on for you in the sense of times?
So just for anybody that couldn't hear, he's asking about kind of like time limits and length of episodes, where TV, it might have to be 22 minutes. Is CBC looking for anything specific, or is it just kind of open, a little bit more like Netflix?
Yeah, I think it's very open. I think there's certain time constraints, like, for a Facebook video, even though now they're rewarding longer watch time, like for a really long time, it was, you kind of want your 1 minute, 1.5 minute and get out and try, because that's the time span that they're going to be watching. So again, it's very collaborative and open, but ultimately the creative and the audience, so the creative and the audience and where they're consuming it will dictate that. So at the Creative Network, we do a couple different types of content. So one is more of like that short form digital content, so that Facebook stuff I'm talking about. But then there's also opportunity, and the person that runs that is named Zach Feldman, and he does our digital originals, which are our longer, bigger budget web series type content that, again, is not necessarily time constraint. We just released a series called Coming In with the guys from, if you remember them, called Shit Girls Say. Yeah, they had a really viral video, or a couple of videos a couple years ago. But if you look at that, like one episode's like 10 minutes, one episode's 3 minutes. It's kind of all over the place. So, but strategically as well.
So does everybody kind of agree to that? The length of the content doesn't matter? Do you see that on Unsolicited?
Yeah, I mean, we did a series for Snapchat, and each episode was like a minute-ish, give or take. So I think it really depends on what you're trying to tell in that time limit.
Yeah, I agree completely. It comes down to like the root of the content, what sort of audience you're going after, and recognizing how much time they're going to devote to this sort of thing. And then if it's going to be long, you got to have some hooks in there or some details or something to keep them going on. Just rambling for half an hour isn't going to get you much, right? So I'll stop talking.
I just watched a video from, there's a YouTuber, his name is Vincent Sear. He released a video last night. He's really weird. I think the video was called Harassing People on the Street with Cocaine, and he did this weird like cop drama, and it was 7.5 minutes. I was like, okay, I'll watch it. and it was hilarious, but there's about 3 minutes in the middle. You're like, you probably could have cut out those 3 minutes. So even though he probably set out to make a longer piece, you kind of got to be ruthless in your editing and just like, sure, you know, I shot this and I think it's funny, but does it really progress anything? Is it fluff? And then at the end of the day, I think the Star Wars video, Clash of the Cantina, it was like 6 minutes or 7, and we cut it down to 3.
Yeah.
And it's so hard because you're like, you're attached to the file and you're attached to the clips. So you got to be like, where does this actually hang? Get people to watch the content, you know. You could see like the worst thing is if you make a video and you go to show like your friend or your mom and your mom like pulls out her cell phone like halfway through, that's a pretty good indicator that you should probably cut it a little bit shorter.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a length that works? As long as there's content to keep it going.
And it's a tough balance too, because obviously, you know, there's this thing about shortening attention spans that is true to some degree, but then also YouTube's gonna reward you a bit better if you have longer videos that people are making it through. You have to have the retention rate. So if you're gonna have something longer, just make sure that it's interesting.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, question here.
Does CBC have any ambitions to be a Canadian CDN and kind of better manage content coming from Canada?
So he's asking if CBC would want to kind of be a content distribution network. In what way, aside from what they're already doing?
You mean like an MCN?
Oh, sorry.
Like a multi-channel network?
Yeah, sorry.
So for those that don't know, a multi-channel network is those companies, you might have heard of them, Maker Studios, Full Screen, Big Frame, Machinima, Style Hall, where they will take sometimes 10 or hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of YouTubers all under the same umbrella and help manage them.
Yeah, so I don't think so. I think ultimately where we lie is we don't want to necessarily manage creators in any way, or you know, we're there to build relationships and we can give insight at a high level towards their channel, but we're mainly focused on creating content with them. So there's a lot of other stuff that goes in on the MCN side. One of them, you know, the knock can be on MCNs is that they don't have time for the talent that they work with because there's literally thousands of them. So we want to make sure that as we continue to grow and work with more creators, that we can still build those relationships. So I think I mentioned off the top, we're only working with 30 to 40 right now. And you know, that will continue to grow as we find more talent. You know, there's 1 or 2 people that we're finding weekly that we just go, wow, like we can't believe they're out there and that we're going to get to work with them. But I don't think you'll ever see a scenario, at least at this point, where, you know, we're working with thousands and thousands of creators because it's just not sustainable.
So the funding is going to continue to come directly from the CBC rather than advertisers that the CBC is bringing to their channel.
Yeah, I think that we'll look at funding wherever we can kind of get it at this point. So if the creator is bringing in a brand or we have a brand that's interested, that's all, you know, can potentially bring the budget up, or if it subsidizes the budget. I don't think anything's out of the question right now. Like, we're really learning on the fly as well, and I think that's a good place to be. We want to experiment, so nothing's really off the table at this point. But the whole MCN thing, I would say, is off.
Yeah. I had one question here. Let's do these two. Is it quick? Okay, she was first, and then I'm going to close with a question. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to know if you're, so as a professional YouTuber, is it actually professional? Like, are you receiving checks? And like, when did that first moment happen? Or like, is that kind of sustainable since that first check or e-transfer arrived? Like, how does that work? Anybody?
So she's just asking, are YouTubers professional in the sense that they can live off of it and or get real checks for real dollars?
I mean, the short answer is yes. The long answer is that it can take a while to get there. So there's if you're interested, if you're sitting at home and you're like, I want to make a ton of money, I'm going to become a YouTuber, you should end that sentence with, I want to make a ton of money and hopefully this pays off in 5 years, right? Because you can get paid per view, per YouTube view. I think the standard's between $1 and $3 for every 1,000 views. So if you get a viral video that gets 1 million views, you only made $1,000, which is great. Anyone want to take $1,000, but to get that 1 million views, you might have had to buy 10 grand in camera gear, learn how to do editing, marketing, etc. But the money would eventually come through from sponsorships, more so than the ad revenue.
Anyone else want to tackle money?
Yeah, like in our case, we're more of a service firm, so we get most of our money from clients and then we reinvest that. So that's where, so we're a little bit of a special case. Yeah.
Do you guys want to shout it?
Yeah, we actually, our channel's 4 years old, and I think it's just been the past year that we've been doing YouTube and Almost Adults full time.
Because even when we shot the feature, like we were working full-time jobs. Like it was crazy.
Yeah. And like all the Kickstarter money went into the movie, so we haven't made any money off of the movie yet. But our channel's monetized, and then again with like doing sponsored videos, things like that.
I think there's also the thing to look at is there's a lot of revenue sources for YouTubers. It's not necessarily just the money they're making off advertising. You know, some of the lifestyle creators we work with have launched their own lip brands or makeup brands or anything like that. You know, the way I look at it is we're working with creators right now that have, like I said, 300 subscribers, but because they went out there and did it and they're creating content, it's creating opportunities for them. And, you know, these guys could speak better to it than me, but I feel like there's more opportunities right now out there for, you know, the smaller creators, and small is not the 100 or 200 level subscribers, but with a decent sized audience, there's an opportunity out there to still work with brands compared to what there was 5 years ago when these guys, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, when these guys first started.
I think, Kyle, it's probably easiest to ask you because I don't want to put anybody else on the spot, but because you get to speak about other people instead of yourself. But have you seen, as far as budgets go for these types of videos, are there videos that are worth thousands of dollars, or are there videos that, like, you know, there's tens of thousands of dollars?
Like revenue that we're bringing in, or budgets?
Yeah, revenue to a creator. Are there creators making a lot of money?
I don't know if I'm actually the right person for that.
Okay, I'll answer it. So
yeah,
a
please,
lot of
thank you.
YouTubers are making a shit ton of money. And I didn't want to ask anybody here because it's rude to ask them to talk about themselves. I would see maybe a video that goes, we've had
At a high
videos-
level, yes, I know that.
Okay, good. There's videos that we've made that got 50,000 views, 100,000 views. If you were to look at the monetization, ooh, $50, $100. And sometimes Forbes will write an article like, we think this YouTuber made this much money based off of that $1 to $3 for every 1,000 views. But we have had sponsorships in a video that got a couple 100,000 views where that sponsorship was $50,000. Now, a lot of that goes into creating the content, but some of that is profitable. Have you, any of you seen anything like that in those 5-digit, 6-digit figures?
Well, I'll mention this one thing. We were lucky, Corey and I were lucky enough to actually film for Disney and Star Wars. They flew us out to the official Star Wars set and said, we're dumping over $100,000 on this video, so whatever you guys want is yours. So we had a budget that we just got to do whatever we want with. And the video is incredible because we had a ton of money put behind it. But just from working with sponsors and stuff, I've seen videos come in. We've had some proposals that didn't go through. We had a car company contact us, so like we have a budget of $120,000. Can you make this video? And we looked at it and said that video costs more than $120,000, but we passed on it. But the money is out there if you have the quality to produce the content.
Yeah, and a lot of the money ends up being like budgeted though. Yeah. Like you're not taking that home all the time.
Yeah, no one's giving you $100,000 to pull out your rocker cam and film yourself in the mirror. You need to get lights, and you need to. Most of the money goes into sometimes staffing. You got to staff up.
Yeah, and when we partner with people, like we usually try and do episodic-based stuff because that's going to guarantee a bit more of a locked-in viewer base, especially if the content we think is going to hit a market, and then they get a discount for getting a bulk buy, and we get a bigger contract up front, which lets us keep our staff.
Great. You had one question there.
It was a very similar question.
Okay.
It was all about money, and we're getting more details about how much money you budget for a web series,
right.
And you know, what the CBC offering right now, and exactly what
Can you give a really rough range? Are you comfortable doing that?
No.
Okay.
I don't think it's even that simple.
Yeah, it's not, and that's the thing is that I can give you a range, and it just doesn't give, it doesn't have the right context to it. So I'll try and give you two things. So one thing is that, actually maybe one, we want sustainability. So sustainability goes on both sides, and that's what we're working towards. Is if it's not enough money for you to produce the video and pay yourself, that doesn't work for you, and we can't make more of them. And the other side of that is sustainability for the CBC. So if we do a project that is massive budget and it's one episode, and we can't go from lighting up 1 to 100 episodes, then that doesn't work for us either. It kind of just leaves us dead in the water. So the budgets, I would say, are fair. You know, our big ambition is to grow the industry for these guys and get more content created and be a leader for other funds that are out there and really pave the way. So, you know, that doesn't happen without having budgets that people can have success on. But, you know, the one thing I will say to give you kind of a range is that we're not talking TV budgets at this point. But to my point earlier, it's still sustainable and healthy.
Right. Sorry, go ahead.
Percentage of the budget would CBC fund, and what ownership position does CBC want in exchange for that?
Again, that's a little complicated, but funding-wise right now, you know, we are funding a majority of it. It depends on what, again, the project is, if there's a co-financer or anything like that, but a majority of them are funded by us. And again, ownership is a case-by-case basis.
Great, so I'm going to ask the final question here, and we're going to skip Kyle because it doesn't apply to you. So Corrado,
perfect.
What is something that you wish you knew when you had 100 subscribers? And we're going to have everybody answer that.
It's funny because I was just talking to someone last night who wants to start a YouTube channel, and she was like, "I'm only going to do it if my content's going to be the best." I said, well, your first content is going to be literally the worst thing in the world, and I'm sorry. She was like, no, I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's going to suck. You're going to think it's great, and then you're going to make 3 videos, and you're going to look back at that first video and be like, oh, it does suck. Because you're just going to learn so much from doing. So I wish that I knew that going in, because then I feel like maybe I wouldn't have put so much effort into the original videos, but I wouldn't have been so heartbroken. Because I think the first video I made, I hit upload, and then as soon as I did, I was like, oh no. I was like, oh no, this is terrible. But then you just got to kind of know that going in. Yeah.
Yeah, that should definitely be the case. If your next video is even worse than your first one.
No, the first one should be the worst. The second one should be
exactly. You should be continually improving and striving for that. And because we deal with a lot of facts and that sort of thing, even though, you know, what are facts these days?
You had to open that can.
Just proof it over and over again. Get some eyes that have no idea what you're making before you're done even. Like, get your rough cut. Do a rough cut, then do a fine cut, and get people who have no idea what you're trying to do to watch it early and get their honest impressions. And ideally get people that don't like you maybe, or don't know you, or don't like you that much, so you can get some honest opinions, because, you know, like there's a lot of people that are gonna think it's great just because it's cool that you did that. You've been wanting to make this thing for so long. Oh, this is awesome. But get some hard critics and let it rip.
Yeah. Jeff, you're in agreement.
It's all about getting the money to fund your content. All about the money. That's what I do for the Café. Yeah.
I would say worry more about what the video's about rather than like what it looks like. At first, when we were doing YouTube, we cared so much about the production value. And some of our most successful videos have been ones that we would shoot in like a day, and they don't look great, but because of what they're about, that's what people were more drawn to. Because sometimes, you know, you can make content that looks amazing, but like it's not really about anything, and people don't care. So.
Yeah. And I would say after our Gay Women Will Marry Your Boyfriends video, we signed with an MCN, and I would say don't do that. They didn't do anything.
We've had 2 MCN experiences, and one of them was basically like whatever, like it didn't mean much. But right now we're very happy with our MCN relationship, and they're really helping us grow our YouTube following. So.
Yeah.
I do have one more piece of advice, which I think is going to be counterintuitive. When you start growing your audience, even if you only have like 3 comments, I would actually say like don't listen to them at all at any point in time, even if they're giving you what might be helpful advice. I find this all this, and I see YouTubers do it, and it kind of makes me cringe. Let's say, even if you have 1,000 Twitter followers or 500 Twitter followers or whatever, and you tweet out, hey guys, who wants to see me make a video about blank? Everyone's obviously going to say yes, right? That doesn't mean that you should go do that video. Your audience will follow you to the grave to a point, but even if they tell you, oh, make more of these, that might not be the best idea. So do what you want to do more so than what your audience tells you what you want to do. And then your audience will just follow along, and you'll get an audience that likes what you do as opposed to what they tell you what to do.
But use your analytics and read your audience and play that game. It's really important to understand if you have a video that's 10 minutes long and at that 6-minute mark, your retention rate dropped big time. Like what happened at 6 minutes in your video? Don't do that again, right? And then also even like I have a side channel with some friends called Team Mix Show. It's all about having mixed ethnicities and growing up and that sort of thing. And we did a shit mixed people get video just because the shit girls say came out, and we thought it was hilarious, so we did it, and it was our big hitter for our channel. And then everybody started guessing our mix in the comments. So we made up a new series called Guess My Mix because they were already doing it. So like we didn't say like, hey, what do you want to do? But we kind of just looked at what was happening, and then that became a series that worked really well.
Yeah, if you see patterns, I think it's something you should definitely look into.
Yeah. Okay, and the last thing that I want to end on is to remind everybody about Almost Adults, which just came out today after years of work from you guys. If they want to go see it, go watch it, buy it, how would they do that?
It's on 24 video-on-demand platforms, so iTunes, Vimeo, Amazon, Google Play, Microsoft. It's on Rogers On Demand, TELUS, Shaw, many more.
Google it and you'll find it.
Yeah, just Google
it.
Great. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today. Thank you.
Congratulations.